Is it right there?
It didn't work.
Oh,
Oh, you talking about this?
yes.
It's saying here.
Do you want to call again? Oh.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good.
Good. So of course, this is my wife, by the way.
Hi.
How are
Yeah,
you?
she's
Good.
just
How you
gonna be doing
doing?
the filming for us. So of course we have your guy in the car.
Okay.
But I want to explain it. Is everybody here? The babies and everybody here?
Well, I only have one baby with me.
Okay, that's fine. Anybody else that will be handling him on a regular basis?
My son, but
Uh-huh.
sorry.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, he's leaving right now, actually.
He's about to leave?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's
that's
really
fine.
about
That's
to leave.
fine.
So I guess we won't show Chase and. Well, get your jacket because we're leaving. She's a minute away. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that's not a problem. So for reintroduction, specifically in the beginning, no touch, no talk, no eye contact.
Okay. That's what I did tell him too. I was explaining that to
Okay,
him
yeah,
because
yeah.
I thought he'll be here.
Yeah.
And I told him that
Okay.
in the video you did say like you
Yeah.
did not pay him any money.
Yes, because he's going to be excited, and we don't want to foster. We don't want to encourage
Okay.
that excited state of the mind when we're trying to get him to calm down, because a lot of that separation anxiety comes out of that state of mind.
Okay.
So, and that's how we begin to stop that process of that separation anxiety. It's getting his brain to calm down. What's up, man? How you doing? So of course I have him in the car. I'm going to bring him in, and then just kind of take you guys through the process. Hello, how you doing? And we'll go from there. We'll go from there. Cool beans. So let me go grab him, and I'll be back in. Do you guys have pee pads here?
I do.
Okay, good.
Should I put one out in front right
Yeah, just so we can do demonstration. Yeah.
Hi.
Come on. Hello, guys. Say hello, guys.
All right. Cool beans. Make sure I don't have any mud on my feet.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know, but she's here. You gotta go.
Okay. Yeah, we can put it on the inside a little bit more. Probably over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Angel, go ahead.
Are you leaving? Do you want me to do this? Oh, okay.
Ooh, Tesla, okay.
All right. So, how you doing? Good.
Love you too, honey. Have
So
fun.
yes, ma'am. So hello.
Mom.
How you doing? That's mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice to meet you, mom. Absolutely. Mom looks like sister. They look like all these sisters.
This
So
is
yes.
wife.
Yeah, this is my wife.
Hi, nice to meet
ma'am.
you, Sheena.
Yeah. So, of course, we have the little fellow in there. And basically what I guess my goal today, and just so you know, you also have 3 follow-up sessions after today that you can utilize in the future. To where obviously if you're having any, if you hit a wall, so to speak, having any issues, we can schedule those sessions systematically to make sure that you're continuing, his progress. So, just keep that in mind for the future. And then, of course, the WhatsApp group, that doesn't go anywhere, so you can always reach out. Yeah, as long as you don't delete the app, that group will be there forever.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can always reach out directly and ask any questions. But today, my goal is to give you as much information without giving you too much information at one time. Because of course, too much information will overstimulate your brain, and then you get paralysis by analysis, right?
Okay.
Because you're trying to, there's so
Take
much
it all in,
information,
yeah.
yeah, so, yeah. So that's my goal. My goal is to give you enough information to understand the basics, and then we continue to build on that, right? So, perfect example, right? He's barking, he's excited, that's okay because that's gonna happen, right? She's a baby, she doesn't really quite understand it yet, right? But this is good because this is also a part of him learning, right? So in situations like that, where if he gets excessive, right? The first thing you wanna do is correct that behavior and not coddle it.
Okay.
Right? Because if you, like for an example, normally what happens is when dogs, they get excessive, especially with the smaller dogs, the first thing we go to do is pick them up and console
Yeah.
them. Worst thing to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do it at
And
work.
it's hard because they're so small.
Right.
And they're so small and cute. Even I have to stop myself from doing it because it's so easy to do.
Okay.
But the thing that I tell people is, think about this dog as a 200-pound dog, right? Don't look at the size of the dog and over empathize with the size, because if it was a 200-pound dog and it was doing the same behavior, you wouldn't think the same about it.
Right.
You would think totally different about how you deal with the dog, right? Because of the potential damage that a bigger dog can cause. So when we look at the smaller dog, it's like, oh, it's so cute, let me just hug you and kiss you. And we think that's gonna make the bad behavior go away. But it doesn't, it actually makes it worse. So when you have behaviors, the rule of thumb, right? If you have a behavior that you don't like, you correct it. When you have behaviors that you do like, you praise and give affection, right?
Right.
So we have to do the total opposite of what we typically do, to where when they're excessively barking and stuff like that, we'll say, it's okay, come here, let me hold you. And that's actually making them want to do it more, because you are rewarding the behavior by giving affection in a unstable state of mind, right? So does that make sense though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think what she was having a hard time with him was that he was barking at night.
Okay, yep.
4 o'clock in the morning, and I tell her I have enough for taking care of kids.
Yeah, I understand.
And go sleep at night or keeping up with the dog.
So give me, because we never really, like the first day or so, he was a little yippy. But after that, we never really had an issue with him excessively barking like that, specifically overnight.
Maybe because he was by himself. He likes to be surrounded with. Like,
You know that in the video, he was in the living room by himself.
oh,
Yeah, we was in our room, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now, you think he puts him in his room? I doubt that.
Huh?
If you had all the dogs, there's no way.
Was there more dogs?
Sometimes, depends.
Okay.
Yeah, it depends. But for the most
Because
part,
I
it was
think
about,
he likes-
like the first few videos, I think you saw, I had another dog
Right.
there, but then that dog went home. After that, it was just him.
Okay.
So, but every so often he would bark a little bit, but most of the time it's because he had to use the bathroom.
So maybe that's what it was at 3 or 4 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning. And
So what is your routine with him,
So-
potty-wise?
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you that, but what I would like to do is know your routine first so you can see the difference.
Valeria,
So,
Mhm.
no.
my stepdad wakes up, what time does he wake up? About 5:50? About 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And 5:50 he's out of here. So he's already
Okay.
hearing noise about that time.
Yeah,
I don't get here till about 6:15.
yeah. Okay.
And then that's when he sees me
That's, yeah.
and my other ones.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you normally let him out at that time?
I normally take him out. Like I'll have the
Uh-huh.
kids, I'm like, hey, take him out to the back.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but it's not like, okay, 6:15, we're going right out
Yeah.
the door.
Yeah, so that's the first thing, right? Especially with a puppy. Again, very similar to the babies, right? They don't have the physical capabilities to control themselves just yet. So the most important thing about potty training a dog is you have to be systematic. As close to it as you can. Obviously, and it's not a big difference between 6:15 and 6:20. There's a difference between 6:15 and 7:15, right? So you have to be as systematic as possible. So typically, for the most part, you'll have a 10 to 15 minute window to kind of play with. But you want to stay within that as much as possible so you create consistency for him.
Okay.
And then over time, of course, he'll learn how to control his, his bowels. Now the other thing is, how did you guys normally feed him?
We give it in a bowl. But I seen what you were doing.
Yeah. So well, the hand feeding is one thing,
Valeria.
but also how often did you guys feed him?
In the morning and then at night.
At night. So what I'm going to recommend is you feed him once a day.
Oh.
Right. Because think about it.
Valeria.
The more we eat, the more we have to use the bathroom. And the later you feed him, the earlier he's going to have to use the bathroom in the morning. So depending on what time you guys will feed him, I'm assuming around what, 6, 7 o'clock?
So we would feed him before we leave around that time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of here by 7:30 the latest.
Okay.
And then he'll eat again before, I want to say about 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that's too late.
Okay.
Just think, the food, if he eats food now, that food doesn't come out until a day or two later. So, the more you compact, the more he has to use the bathroom.
Okay.
So every time he's using the bathroom, it's not the food he ate earlier that day. It's the food he ate yesterday.
Okay.
So you have to give his system time to get rid of as much of that as possible. So that way, of course, it decreases his need to have to get rid of it.
Okay.
Because, again, if he eats at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, he hasn't even really gotten rid of that food yet by the time he eats at 8 o'clock. So now he has all of that compacted in him. So come 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, he has to go. So that would actually give you more time to where you don't have to take him out as early. Because
Okay.
typically we let him out to use the bathroom 6:30 to 7 on average
Okay.
is about what time we let him out. But he's in the kennel by 8:30, 9 o'clock.
That's it. That's it. It's a
That's
wrap.
it.
Okay.
That's it. And he peed and pooped once the entire time in the kennel.
Oh.
No, twice. But the second time was my fault because I wasn't there on
Okay.
time. But outside of that, no problems.
Okay.
Because again, it's like I feed, especially when I'm potty trained, everything is in the morning, specifically food. And then typically I stop water depending on the day, because sometimes depending on what I have going on, but on average, especially after 6 o'clock,
Okay.
no more water.
Okay.
Because that still gives me enough time, even if I have to let him out later, 11, 12 o'clock to use the bathroom, that still gives me 6, 7 hours before I have to let him out in the morning,
Okay.
before I know he has to, okay, it's time for him to, and sometimes I can even stretch it to 8 o'clock if necessary. But that's because he doesn't have all of that in his system.
Right.
That's just sitting there that he's trying to get out. So yeah, so does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I, with the, now the hand feeding, I was doing that because that was a part of the training.
Okay.
And that builds what we call engagement, right? So as you saw in the video, in order to get him to even want to be in the cage, because he didn't want to be in this cage at first. He was fine going in the cage like this because it was open, it was bigger. But to get him to go in there, I had to use the food to get him. Hey, shh. So I had to use the food to entice him to go in.
Okay.
And then he got to the point where now he's okay with going inside of it.
Okay.
And the only reason why I like these is because, again, when it comes to potty training, and it's tougher with small dogs like this, because even this is still more than enough space for him to use the bathroom if he really needs to. But the smaller the space, typically dogs don't like to use the bathroom right where they have to lay. But they will do it if they just can't hold it. Yeah, if they can't hold it. But this helps with forcing him to learn how to hold it longer. Because they typically don't want to pee and poop right where they have to lay. So that's just a little trick that we use to help with the potty training. So, but for the most part, even this cage is fine as long as you stick to,
The routine.
the routine. Yeah. So definitely food and water. If you're gonna do it, that's when you want to give the most in the morning. So that way, throughout the day, he's getting out what you fed him that morning, not compacting, from a day or two before. And then you put more in there, he just constantly has to use the bathroom. So it's not necessarily about decreasing the amount, it's about rationing it differently, if that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I have another question.
Sure.
How much are you feeding him, I guess? 'Cause we never had a dog.
Okay.
And I don't know what I was doing
Yeah.
basically. I'm just giving him, and I would tell the kids, okay, don't overdo it,
Yeah.
but you
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I was feeding him properly.
So for a dog this size, right? And it was slightly different because depending when I'm training a dog, I don't really have an amount because I'm training the dog. I use as much as I can until he doesn't want anymore because I'm using the food to get him to
Okay.
their
I see
behavior.
what you're saying. Okay.
So for right now,
Dame eso. Give me that. Toma.
use as much as you need to develop that engagement that we were doing. You know, that way everybody gets familiar with how to do it in the house. Because he'll tell you when he doesn't want no more. He'll just stop taking the food.
Yeah.
But if you can, concentrate as much of it in the morning as you can. So that way, again, throughout the day, he's getting rid of what you guys fed him. So, you know, even if you do, let's say you decide to do, let's say you ration out a cup, right? You use, so let's say we'll say between 8 and 12. And you know, I'm kind of giving a tentative schedule, but you guys figure out exactly how you want to do it. Let's say you schedule between 8 and 10, 3 training sessions. 8 and 12, 3 training sessions, right? At 15 minutes apiece, right? And it's literally just doing the same routine you saw in the videos. By the time 12 comes, you'll see how much food that you use, right?
Okay.
So that will give you a gauge of how much food going forward you want to feed them.
Okay.
But like I said, because in the beginning when I'm training a dog, I use more food typically than what they're gonna eat on a daily basis. But that system will allow you to be able to, going forward, see how much food you need. One thing I will say is he doesn't need the wet food.
He doesn't eat it?
No, he doesn't need it.
Okay.
Yeah, he doesn't need it.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, that's a part of that. And I understand why people do it. You want to make sure you rather do more than you need than not enough. But he doesn't need the wet food.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was on the, they suggested to.
I don't know. I have to ask them why they suggest wet. So that's not something you guys normally feed.
Well, I was doing it when he got like the surgery.
Okay.
Like when I neutered him.
Okay. Yes.
And I just did it for the couple days, but then I seen it because I guess I did it right after,
Yeah.
and then it suggested it, so I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'll go buy more wet food. I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. I don't know why they suggest the wet. I have to ask them why they do that because I'm not exactly sure why they suggest it. But yeah, he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. Yeah, the dry food is good, and it'll make it easier for you guys just to train him.
Okay.
So yeah, and he loves the dry food. So as long as he loves eating it, you know,
Okay.
yeah. Because what can happen is he will begin to get picky, you know, with the food if he gets used to eating the wet food, and then it just makes it harder for you guys to use food as leverage to get what you need from it. If that makes sense, yeah. So, and that's the key thing. It's all about leverage. You know, you have to be able to use your leverage to get the behaviors out of dogs that you're looking for. Yeah.
And I seen that you don't like to use treats either.
No.
Is it okay?
No, for the same reason. Because my theory is I like to keep it as simple as I possibly can, right? Because it makes it easier for me to teach you guys how to duplicate the system. And the struggle that most people have with using treats is they don't know how to wean the dog off of the treats. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So then if you want the dog to do something and you don't have a treat in your hand, the dog doesn't want to do it.
Okay.
So I use the food because I have to feed the dog anyway.
Okay.
So why not use the thing that I absolutely have to do and use that in the same way? So I use the food as the same way, and that actually builds more value in his food, and then it also builds more value in you.
Okay.
because now with the hand feeding, and that's how I teach him the hand signals, right?
Yeah, I seen that.
So I use, because he's looking at my hand, he knows the food is there, so I'm using that to manipulate him physically, because I know he's gonna follow my hand. And then eventually, over time, I'm not gonna need the food in my hand because he's already conditioned to use it to knowing what those hand signals mean. And then eventually I'll just do this, he'll sit, you do that, he'll go down. So that's how you develop those behaviors. So yeah, so that's why I like to do the hand feeding, because again, it's leverage for me. So yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're gonna actually go through it. I have to go get his food out of the car. We're gonna go through it just so you can see it in real time, so you guys can do it and feel the mechanics of it as well. Because seeing it on camera and doing it is different. Yeah. So let me go grab his food, and then we'll start going through that process.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Do you want Braylon to come in? You want Bray to come in? No. Okay.
Okay. All right. There you go. This other thing there.
Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah. No problem.
I didn't give you a bag. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. No problem at all. All right. Cool beans. So, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna take this.
No, you're fine.
Can I set it on?
Yeah, go ahead.
So what I want to do is just demonstrate for you guys. And then once I demonstrate a couple of times, I just want to have you guys do it just to get used to, yeah. All right, cool beans. So now he may not have to use the bathroom, which is fine. But so yeah, okay. So now the first thing I do, right? Because one of the most important things with dogs is you have to get them to understand that everything they do or don't do is because of you, right? So if they do something, it's because you gave them permission to do it. If they don't do something, it's because you don't want them to do it, right? So you really want to make sure that you are the one setting the tone across the board, right? So when I go to open the cage, the first thing I'm gonna look for is, does he try to just dart out, right? How you doing, man? Yes, sir. Yeah. So because that's important, because if he darts out of here, that would be the same thing as him darting out the front door if you open it, right? So he has to understand barrier limitations. Just because a door opens doesn't mean you have permission to shoot through it, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go open the door. Now there's a couple of things I'm gonna do depending on what he does. If I see that he just tries to zoom out the door, all I'm gonna do is quickly close the door. Now if I go to open the door and he's kind of like tipping forward, every time he moves forward, I'm just gonna politely close the door until what I'm looking for is for him to just sit down.
Okay.
And then when I open the door, he doesn't move at all. And then if he doesn't move at all, or when he doesn't move at all, then I say, come. I invite him out. Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So every barrier, and you can practice this, and it doesn't even have to be a physical barrier, right? Because dogs are very spatially aware. So even if this was a threshold that I didn't want him to cross, I could literally teach him without no physical barrier to not cross that barrier, right? Because all I would have to say is every time he gets to that point, no, right? And eventually over time, he'll learn to literally, if you go, he'll stop. because he'll learn that physical barrier. So yeah, but you however you guys want to use that, you can use it based on how you guys operate. But that is the mindset behind it, right? If you don't want him to see how you have the barrier, I know that's probably for the babies more so than it is for the dog. But if you didn't want him to go downstairs, you wouldn't even need that barrier. Because again, I have the mindset of if it was a bigger dog, that barrier wouldn't stop him.
Right.
I would have to control the dog's mind and not him physically, right? So that's, and I'll probably say that 2 or 3 more times just so you guys can understand the mind shift that you have to make. Think of him as a 200-pound dog. How would you control this dog? Because physically, you wouldn't be able to do it.
Right.
If the dog wanted to do something, it would do it. The only advantage is he's a 3-pound dog, so you can physically, but that doesn't stop the behavior. That only restrains him, right? Or that only physically, what's the word? It's more like avoidance, but avoidance doesn't equal compliance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's go through. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna turn it this way just so you can see it, just so you can see what I'm doing. Right, so now you see he's already clawing, right? I don't like that behavior because that's telling me his brain is already getting excited. So every time I go to reach, he starts clawing, I'm taking my hand away, right? That's what we call negative reinforcement. So what I'm looking for now, because he's gonna learn like, man, he keeps putting his hand, but when I start clawing, he takes his hand away, right? So this is positive reinforcement for him because he wants to come out. So he knows as my hand goes closer to this door, he's about to open the door. So he gets excited. You can hear him start thumping you can hear him getting excited. I want him to stay calm. So now, nope, still too excited. This is how I actually control him before I open the door. So that way when I open the door, it's not a burst of energy coming out, right? He's not spring loaded because he's already, woo, here it comes, and then the door opens, he's gone, right?
Okay.
So, almost there. And then also what I like to do is, when I draw the hand back and he calms down, you see how he puts his head down? Good boy. I reward that because I'm rewarding the behavior that I like.
Okay.
And I'm discouraging the behavior I don't like by pulling my hand away. Because again, this is rewarding for him, right? Good boy. Good boy. And then the other thing you can also do is give him a verbal no, right? Because that is important, because eventually, he's going to have free roam of the house, and you're not going to be able to physically, correct him.
Right.
So you want to be able to verbally correct him, right? Which, again, we've implemented the word no so he understands it, but he doesn't quite know it yet for full application.
Okay.
So by saying no at the same time as I'm pulling my hand away, he's going to associate the word no with whatever it is that I'm doing. No means stop doing it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that could be with anything. The word no means stop. Whatever you're doing, stop doing it. Yeah. No. 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 Now this is what I call nope. This is what I call allowing him to fail in a controlled environment, right? So that goes back to avoidance doesn't equal compliance. So a lot of the time with behaviors, when I'm trying to correct a behavior, I will literally set up an environment for him to fail so I can actually teach him what I want him to know.
Okay.
Because what most people do, they try to avoid the thing, but the dog never learns that this is not something I should be doing. Good boy, come. Yes, good boy. Good boy. So that's how going forward, even with that cage, same thing, right? Every time you go to open that cage, and if you notice, he's staying on that pad because, again, just by sheer, what's the word I'm looking for? Repetition, he's learned that, okay, I need to stay on this pad until I'm given permission to come off the pad, right? Good boy. That's a good boy, yes. So yeah. I had to fight hard not to steal them from you guys.
Trust me, if she can get rid of it, she's like, I don't want it. And
Really?
I'm like, she's not used to it. And the thing is, I don't take them to my apartment.
Yeah.
For kids.
I understand.
Yeah, and it's like, it's too much. I go, I didn't ask for nobody to get a dog. I was on vacation when they brought the dog.
Yeah.
So I was like, they should have let me know in advance if I agree or not.
I understand. But he's a good dog, though. He's really easy to deal with once you learn how to do it, you know.
See, if I had to change diapers
Yeah.
twice for two, and then another, and keep track of him.
Yeah.
But again, I take him to work.
Yeah.
And so I,
Yeah.
it's just he
Helps
stays
balance
there.
it.
Yeah.
I understand for sure.
He's such a good dog.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was good.
Nope.
We definitely missed him, but
Our son loved playing with him.
really.
Down. Good boy. Yeah, so now the mechanics of the sit and the down, right? So as you can see, now the most important part, right? Because you can obviously see what I'm doing. When I hold my hand up, his butt goes down, I reward him, right? The most important thing about the reward is the timing of it, right? There's a difference between bribing a dog to do something and using a reward to teach the dog to do something. When you bribe the dog to do something, then you need the whatever the stimulus is to get him to do it, right? But when you're using a reward to teach the dog to do something, eventually what happens is he learns that through repetition, right? And this is why I like to use the hand signals, because it becomes automatic. It becomes like muscle memory, right? Come on, over here. Yes. Down. Good boy, right? So this is the routine that you guys, that'll be a part of your training, right? Yes, good boy. Now, if you notice what I did, he went to jump on me. That it's like no, right? That's basically the same thing, right? And once he went back to the pad and put his butt on the ground, that's when I reward. Because again, I reward behaviors that I like. And in a situation like that, Chase, yes, nope, sit, good boy. In a situation like that, what normally happens, and this is where you have to be hyper aware, the dog comes, jumps on you, and you, oh, okay, let me pet you. No, because that feeds into bad behavior. That's how you get dogs that jump all over the babies. And again, it's not such a big deal with him because he's a small dog. But if he was even a 50-pound dog, it would be a problem. So,
yeah. We know. My brother got what did he have? A bulldog.
Okay.
And he broke my niece's ankle.
Oh, wow.
And she's only 3. She's like my little one, the other one. So again, it's that weight. So, and he's not trained either. So again, it's.
That's why I was like, no. It's mine. I mean, I know we could control this one, but I go, no, it's a lot. It's a lot of things you gotta keep up with the dog.
Yeah, it's definitely, especially in the end, most of the work is front loaded. It's right in the beginning, right? But if you're persistent, consistent, diligent, and patient, I mean, if you think about, even if it takes you 3 months to fully train, the dog is gonna live for 10 or 15 years. If you think about that, it's really not that much work,
It's just the beginning.
It's just the beginning. Yeah, it's really just the beginning. Yeah.
So excited.
Yeah. Good boy. So so this is literally what it is, right? And sometimes I don't even tell him to sit. When he sits automatically, I reward him. Because what that is teaching him is the more calm I am, I get rewarded. And that's how you get, when he comes up to you, instead of jumping on you, he'll just automatically sit, right? Yeah, good boy. Down. Yes, good boy. That's a good boy. So now with the kennel, right, it's the same thing, just like the videos. And once I do this, I'm gonna have you guys do it. Now, what I was transitioning him into was going into the kennel without me having to throw food into it, right? And I'm gonna show you how to continue to build on that. So I'm gonna try and see if I say in your room, because that's the term I use just to go in your kennel. I'm gonna see if he goes in there without me throwing food in there first, right? So let's try it and see. In your room. In your room. Yeah, so now what I do, right? I throw one just to entice him to go in. There you go.
He said, where is it?
Yeah, good boy. Hey, in your room. In your room. Okay, so I toss one in your room. Now what I do is, okay, so he backed out, so I do another one in your room. And I try to throw it, good boy. Now once he goes in and turns all the way down, you guys can't see him, but he's sitting down, right? I give him a big load and I give a lot of praise. Good boy, right? And the reason why I do that is because I want him to associate, once I go all the way in, turn around and relax, that's when the big jackpot comes, right? So that's how you condition him to being good with being in the kennel. Because then now he's associating the kennel with endorphins, right? Dopamine, right? It feels good to be in the kennel as opposed to before it was a stressor because everything that he wanted was out of the kennel. So now if he's getting a dopamine effect when he goes in the kennel, he's getting that feel good emotion. Oh, I'm happy to go in here, right? So yeah, so that's how that works. So let's see if we can get him to go in now. In your room. Yes, good boy. Good boy. I stopped him from going in. Good boy. In your room. Good boy. Okay. But you can see he's thinking, right? Good boy. There you go. Good boy. So that's how you build on. Eventually, he'll just, once you say in your room, he'll just run in your room and you won't have to give him food to go in there.
Okay.
So that's how you continue to build on that. So that's why I was saying the timing is it's imperative when it comes to, that's the difference between bribing and training, right? Most people don't know the fine, subtle differences because they don't know when to reward, right? And really all you're looking for is you create the behavior that you're looking to get and try not to get him to do. Chase, come. Good boy. Try not to think like a human. Think like a dog, right? And I know that sounds vague, right? But think about this. We're smarter. They are dumber. We have to become dumb in order to make them smart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because the reality is, I think he's about to use the bathroom. Yeah. The reality is, he doesn't have the ability to think like us, so we can't expect him. Good boy, that's a good boy. That's a good boy. I'm just gonna pose this as we're talking, and then I'm gonna let you guys do it. He doesn't have the ability to reason like we do, right? So we know the ultimate goal, the end goal. No, the end goal is for him to be able to go in the kennel on his own without us having to. But he doesn't know that. You see, he doesn't have the ability to think ahead of time. Only we do, right? But we have to remember that a dog is very in the moment. They live in the moment. Literally every 5 seconds is like a different day for them. They have to be because of their predatory nature. An example that I always use, right? If he was out in the wild, now obviously a small dog like this wouldn't be out in the wild. But the psychology is still the same, right? He's just a much smaller version of a wolf, right? But out in the wild, if a wolf is chasing a rabbit and they miss this rabbit, but then there's 10 rabbits over here that's just sitting there waiting for the wolf to come get him, but he's sulking over the rabbit that he's just missed. Now he's gonna starve to death because he's focused so much on this rabbit that he just missed. In nature, if they miss, it's on to the next. They have to be because they can't think too much about the past. And that's where humans mess up. We do what we call, the scientific word is anthropomorphize our feelings onto animals. And that causes them to be confused. Because they don't understand it. They don't know how to balance it like we do, right? So we have to think, we have to compartmentalize like they do in order to make them smart. So we have to become dumber. We have to become simple to make them smart. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So when you guys are ready, whoever wants to go first, you can try.
First.
Yeah.
Because I'll be taking you to work with me.
Okay, cool beans. You want to know?
Yes.
So do I grab a little bit?
Yeah, grab you a handful. Yep, grab you a handful. Okay.
And then this is where I would tell him no.
Yes, so as you're reaching in, if he gets overly excited, you draw your hand back. There you go. And as you are drawing your hand back, that's when you say no. Because remember, you taking your hand away is a negative reinforcer. So you want to couple your verbal negative reinforcer, which is the no, with the physical, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's why I'm saying the timing of it. So as you go in, he's getting excited. Nope. You take it away.
No.
There you go. Now, here's what I want you to do. Make that no sharper. Yeah, you don't want to sing it. You want to enforce it, right? So as opposed to no, right?
He knows me.
Yeah. It's the tonality.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Take your time.
No.
Yeah, a little sharper or quicker with the no.
Okay. No.
There you go. That's better. Can be a little sharper.
No.
Good. There you go. Good. Good. Okay, not bad. Now he came out. He did wait a little while before he came out, but you didn't give him permission to come out.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, he gets the happy squirts. Yeah. And that's why it's important also to make sure you calm his brain down, because those happy squirts happens when he's, super aroused. And, a lot of puppies do that because, again, that's just how they release that excited energy. So eventually, as he gets older, most dogs, they just grow out of that. But again, that's why it's so important to make sure that anything you do, you don't do it in a super aroused state of mind, because then most people, they, when they come to me, they say, my dog, especially older dogs, they say, I need potty training on my dog. And the first thing I ask them is, well, is the dog just like, does the dog randomly use the bathroom, or does the dog do it in certain times? Meaning, is there something that triggers the brain that makes them emotionally use the bathroom and not just mechanically use the bathroom? So these little squirts are emotional squirts. They're not mechanical squirts, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yep. So what you do when you see how he's looking at you like that, he's looking for direction, right? There you go. Good. So now when he looks at you like that, now that he's sitting down automatically, what I would do is put him in a down.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's what you put your hand on?
Yeah, so down is this here, just the hands down, just like that. And say down at the same time.
Down. Down.
There you go. And there you go. Good. Now, petting is good, but you can also give them the treat and the food. Normally what I do, and the reason why I do it like this is because I can hold the food with my thumb. And then as I say down and he goes down, boom, I just release the food.
Good job. Down.
Good. Okay. So now that he's down, here's what you do. Sit.
Sit.
And reward. There you go. Beautiful. There you go. Okay. Now he's in a sit. Do down.
Down.
There you go. Yep. There you go. Perfect. Yep. And now that he's in a down, put him in a sit.
Sit.
Yeah. Now, you see what he's doing, right? This is what we call offering behaviors, right? And this is where the difference between bribing and training happens, right? Because what he's doing is he's predicting what he thinks you want from him. So now what we have to teach him is not to think, we want him to respond, not to think. And that sounds crazy because we do want him to think, right? But we don't want him to think that he can control when he gets those rewards.
Okay.
He only gets it when we determine that he deserves it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So now, he's offering, okay, let me go down. He's going to give me some food. Nope. I didn't ask you to go down. Even though it is a behavior that I like, I didn't ask you to do it. You see what I mean? So you only reward him when he does what you ask him to do.
Hey.
Right? There you go. Good. So he's automatically sitting. And how I counteract that is, if he sits on his own, then I ask him to go down. If he goes down, I ask him to sit. I just do the opposite of what he does. Yep.
Sit. Down. Up, down.
There you go. Good. Good. Now, what I want you to do is practice in your room.
In your room. Look, in your room.
Good. Okay. Now take one and toss it all the way in the back. And as you toss it, say in your room.
In your room.
Tell him, good boy.
Good boy.
Wait till he turns around and sits. Now you give him, there you go. Yeah. And then you can also, when you close the door, just so he doesn't associate the door closing with a negative experience, toss some more food in there once the door is closed. Okay. So that way he associates, ooh, when that door closes, I know I'm going to get the mother load again. There you go. Yeah.
You going to try it? She's like, I'm not.
Yeah. And, look, I understand. I trust me, I understand, And honestly, it may take for you to get him fully integrated before mom is like, oh, okay, now I can handle it. Because to be honest, if you're not truly a dog person or animal person, you really don't want to deal with the training of the dog.
The thing is, then you get attached to it.
Yeah, I understand.
I had one myself and I got so attached to it, but then I had to give it up.
No.
And
there you go, good.
so I told her, how come, what, you just got out here without.
Yeah, I understand.
So I told her, he was all over the place, he was
Yeah.
crying, and I said, the girl, I said, oh, God.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm going to train him then.
Yeah.
So,
And I'm glad I found you guys.
Yeah.
You have no idea. And like I said, there was other people, and still someone reached out after. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
You can take me off your thing.
Yeah, I understand. Absolutely. Yeah. And also what I'll suggest, because I know with the children that will get him excited, running around.
okay.
When you have him in the kennel, put like a dark cover over the kennel.
Okay.
Because that will cut down on him seeing all of the activity and getting rambunctious to want to come out. So that will help. And then eventually over time, he'll learn that when he's in that kennel, it's just time to chill. And it doesn't matter what's going on.
So is it okay at night to close him off?
Absolutely. For sure. That'll help. Yep. Is he normally, when you have him in the kennel, is it light? Like, is it...
she has a TV on.
Yeah, turn it off. Yeah, because the sound, the voices, can make him think that there's activity when there's really not. Think of it like, when you go to sleep, it's quiet time.
Yeah, no, so I turned off everything. I noticed I turned off everything and then I covered him. I said good night and I walked away.
Yeah.
But then he'll start crying.
Mm-hmm.
He'll come back and I said, go to sleep.
Yeah.
Go to sleep.
Yeah.
And then he would finally go to sleep.
Yeah. So what you do, and he's probably going to do it because I don't know if I said this. It happens every single time. When dogs come, as a matter of fact, how long did you guys have him before he came with me?
I got 2 weeks before she got home.
Mm-hmm.
So beginning of January.
Okay, so about a month or something.
I have them long.
Okay. So what always happens is a lot of the behaviors that he's associated with you guys in the house, they're going to start coming back up. So that's where this training is important, because now he has to understand that those behaviors are no longer accepted in this place, right? It's very similar to how they tell alcoholics, hey, look, don't go to a bar because that's going to trigger you, right? So those behaviors are being triggered because now he's back home. So now what you have to do is get him to understand it's no longer accepted here. So in the event that he does whine a little bit or, barks, you come out, no, walk away. Don't pet him. Don't say it's okay. Don't talk to him. No, walk away. Yep. And then if you want, it's not necessary. If he's quiet for a while, you can come, hey, good boy, and walk away again, right? Because if you do too much, if you pet him, he'll get excited. Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that's where you also have to learn how much you praise depending on the situation. Yeah. So yeah. Any other questions?
Do you guys walk him outside? Did you walk him outside?
Very little, because it was so cold. Yeah, it was so, and typically with the smaller dogs, when it's extra cold, they don't want to use the bathroom.
Yeah, I tried it on my own. I even put him by the tree.
Yeah,
He sniffed it, but he's like, oh.
Yeah, is because they're so small, and they're so low to the ground. So yeah, mostly it was just a pad. Yeah, it was a pad, and it's easier, of course, because he's so small.
Okay.
But yeah, very I honestly within the 2 weeks, probably maybe 3 times took him outside.
I mean,
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But yeah, other than that, anything else you can think of?
No, I think that's pretty much
Okay,
it.
okay.
And again, this is okay of a kennel for work.
Yeah, that's actually much better of a kennel because it's easier to transport.
Right.
And it's easier to maneuver to where this is not bad, but it's still cumbersome. It's a little more cumbersome. So yeah, I would actually recommend this over any other kennel because it's just easier to maneuver.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, so I guess again, now that I'll be taking him to work, I would take him out every. What do you say?
Yes. So great question. I actually wanted to tell you that. So now again, you can tweak it based on your schedule, right? So, but I guess, a blueprint would be every 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours. You take him out. The first thing he has to do is use the bathroom, right? Because again, what you're teaching him is when you come out of their cage, your first job is release yourself, right? And the reason why that's important is because you don't want to just let him out and run around and play, and then he finds somewhere to go.
He has a spot over there.
Yeah,
That's where I'm like, okay.
exactly. So now, even there, same thing. You have to teach him you don't have access to that until you use it here, right? Because obviously, if he uses it here, it's highly unlikely he's going to have to use it there, right? So now you're teaching him wherever you put that pad, this is where you use the bathroom. After you do this, then we can play. Before then, it's business. You got to do business first, then we can play, because that's going to drastically cut down on him sneaking off and using the bathroom. And then after you play, okay, back in your kennel. Now, also, you don't always have to feed, right? So, and I'm just going to let him out now just for demonstration purposes, right? Now, he's still not quite to the point where he's running in the kennel, right? But you can just lightly pick him up in your room, and he will go in there, of course, when he's not trying to make me look bad. Oh, come on now. So yes, if you just lightly pick him up, come here, boy, and just kind of gently lead him in there, he will go in there. Of course, any other time outside of now. Yeah, it's okay. Go ahead. In your room. There you go. Good boy. And then that's how you can get him back in the room without necessarily having to feed him.
So she has
Yep.
a habit, if he's there, when she calls me, that she has a dog under her feet, but he's just laying there.
Okay, say that one more time.
At work,
Okay.
He'll lay under my desk. He just lays there. He won't leave.
under her feet.
Okay.
He won't leave right now. But then I guess how does he get happy and then when there's off?
He just leaves. So are you asking, is that a bad thing?
No, is that a bad thing? Right now that she's training, or is it?
I would keep him in the kennel.
No, yeah, I'm gonna go buy one right
Yeah.
now. Is it okay with me taking him to go get groomed right now? Or
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
He needs a haircut.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
So I'm gonna go get one. But I will, again, stick to this.
Yes.
And just make sure to do it every 2 to 3 hours.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And eventually you won't have to need the kennel. It's just while he's learning. Yes. And you'll know when he doesn't need the kennel anymore. You'll know. It's hard to explain when you know, but you'll know because you'll see. Yes, you'll see it. You'll see it.
Because I noticed every time
I call her and I'll be like, look, he's just laying there.
Yeah.
But I mean, he just.
Yeah.
But sometimes he'll just take off, and we have.
Oh,
If this wall was knocked down, literally the whole space, and he'll just run around the table.
Okay.
And he's gonna use exercise, I get it. But,
Yeah.
Again.
Well, it's the mental stimulation that he's looking for, really. It's not even really the physical.
Okay. Because sometimes I'll go and I'll be like, okay, you want to run around? Let's go run. And
Yeah.
He'll chase
But
me
there's
around.
a lot of
chase him,
rooms
but-
there.
Yeah.
It's big. It's what do you call it? A rectory. So it's
Okay.
long.
Yeah.
And I go, he can't be wandering off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes he'll go to the 3rd floor on his own. I'm like,
Oh, really? Wow.
But he won't come down.
Okay.
He'll bark. He'll let me know he's up there.
He's up there.
But
Yeah.
So you let him.
Yeah. You set those rules, boundaries, and limitations. You know what I mean? If you don't, and that's where the word no, when you see, and you have to be aware of it. So if he's out and he's under your feet, just kind of keep your eye on him. And because at some point he's going to want to get up and go. As soon as he does that, chase, no, tell him sit, put him back in place. And this is how you teach him to stay in one place until you give him permission to go, to another place. And that is the rule of thumb. He cannot do anything unless you give him permission to do it. That is literally the rule of thumb. So whatever that looks like for you, just remember that in the back of your head. If you don't want him to do it, tell him not to do it, but then tell him what you want him to do. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want her to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't want. I mean, I could imagine him pooping here and there.
No, he has
Yeah.
The
one
father.
spot.
He has one spot.
One room.
Yeah.
We know this, and sometimes father will tell me like Jeff, and I'm like, stay here or something.
Yeah.
But even then, it's just that one great carpet.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
All carpet, so you imagine.
Yeah. I understand.
It could be that.
No problem. So other than that, that's it. Yeah. So like I said, if you think of anything, just shoot me a message in a WhatsApp. And, I say give yourself a good 2 weeks of working this system. And then once you kind of get comfortable, then we could talk about scheduling the next sessions to see what we need to do to, keep it going.
And how long are those for?
It could be anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour, just depending on what we're doing. On average, we give you an hour.
Okay.
Sometimes it's longer, just depends. Yeah. And what I would recommend is possibly doing it at the church.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so that way, because, again, sometimes doing it in a different environment, you forget, some of the integral, so it's easier to do it in that environment so you can see how to, you know what I mean? So, yeah, so that's actually what I would recommend because that's the other place he's going to be the most. Yeah.
There's only 3 of us, and he was.
Yeah. Okay.
He told him, he's like, Chase, if you don't come back trained, you're
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with him. He's the one that wanted
Yeah.
a dog. And
Okay.
Before I had the 2 little ones, he goes, why
Yeah.
don't you get a dog, but you got to take him home? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm having babies right now.
Yeah.
But as I told him, I said, I kind of got him because
Yeah.
he wanted
Okay.
but I had to bring him home. And he's like,
Yeah.
she's like, oh, are you sure? sure are you lying? I said, no. He asked me for a dog, and I said, fine.
Yeah.
But I work dog.
Yeah. Okay.
But it would be nice.
But then again,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
stayed at her house at
Yeah.
night, so I get it.
Okay. No problem. All right, guys. I'm gonna hit the road. Yeah, I got another dog to pick up, and we'll be talking. We'll be talking. All right, ladies. Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Nope.
you coming from Florida? You come from Florida?
From far? No, I'm in Chicago. I'm you familiar with South Shore?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm right South Shore. So it's not too far. It's not too far. I mean, it's still Chicago, but yeah, it's not too far. Yep. All right, ladies. I will talk to you guys. Oh yeah, I need your cage. Yeah. No problem. Let me turn this off.